Namaste, yogis. Sesa here. Welcome back for another hour of yin and yang. Kate will be demonstrating with me today. Do make sure you have your props, blocks, bolsters, pillows, books, whatever you have handy. But we will get started whenever you're ready, laying on the back. So if you want to just find a comfortable shape, spine is long, so just make sure there's no props underneath your spine. From the sacrum to the crown of your head, you're just laying long on the mat. And then just for the purpose of today's class, go ahead and slide the soles of your feet together, pulling them towards the groin, but by all means, they could be more towards the front of your mat, creating more of a diamond shape. Your arms can fall down and open away from the sides of your body. If you want to rest the hands maybe on your hips, or one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, you can also do that. But just closing the eyes and allowing gravity to pull the knees open, releasing the groin. Allow the full length of your spine to get longer with every inhale. And then the front body a little heavier with every exhale. And then we're gonna let go of a nice cleansing breath. So go ahead and just let go of a nice long exhale. And then take a deep inhale through your nose. Send that breath to the hook of your tailbone. Feel your ribs expand out horizontally. Then open up the mouth and just audibly let it go. Let's take another long, slow, deep inhale through the nose, this time holding at the very top. Unless you're pregnant, you always want to keep breathing. And then open up your mouth. One more deep inhale through the nose, 2 hold. Maybe sip in a little bit more air. And then keeping the lips sealed, slowly just exhale out the nose. And then just continue to breathe in and out your nose as slowly and as deeply as you can. And then keeping what you have in the legs, go ahead and slowly take your hands behind your head, interlace the fingers, pull the elbows out. Knit the front ribs in and begin to lift your head, the chunk of your shoulders up off the ground, straight up towards the ceiling. And then on an exhale, you'll curl forward, try to get your sternum bone a little closer to your pubic bone. And then inhale, let that go. Exhale, crunch up, and then forward. Inhale, let it release. Exhale, crunch up. So just keep doing this on your own, breath per movement. Every inhale, you're opening and releasing the front of the body, using the exhale to contract the abdominals. This is enough. You stick with this. If you want to go a little further, you're going to press the soles of your feet together and then lift your feet up about 2 or 3 inches up off the ground. Breathe in and out your nose. So you're going to try and keep the knees wide, feet pressing together. Take an inhale. This time as you exhale, crunch up, lift your hips up, get your elbows and knees to touch very wide. And then inhale, let the feet hover, release the shoulders. Exhale, elbows to knees, curl in. Inhale, release. And exhale, crunch up. Keep going on your own like this. Last few rounds. Never let the feet touch the ground. Try not to let the lower back ever lift up off the mat. And then elbows meet the knees. We pause. Keep pushing your left elbow into your right knee. Slowly kick your left leg straight out in front of you. Flex the heel. Hovering at a comfortable distance up off the mat. Cinch in the right side of your waist. Take an inhale. Now as you exhale, bring your left elbow to meet your right knee, getting into the obliques. And then slowly, right elbow comes back to your right knee. Pull the left knee to your left elbow. Lift the shoulders. Now press the left elbow to the knee. Slowly kick your right leg out. Flex the foot. Cinch in the left waistline. And then exhale, twist right elbow to the left knee. Inhale, coming to center, left elbow to left knee. Draw the right knee to the right. Lift the hips, lift the shoulders a little more. And then let it all go. Hug your knees into the chest. Draw little circles in one direction, massage, let go of the lower back. Do the same thing to both sides. And then grabbing the backs of your thighs, begin to rock backwards and forwards, up and down until you find the momentum you need to come to downward dog. You'll cross one shin in front of the other, plant your hands in front of you, step back, jump back, get there however you need to. Take your time, there's no rush. Once you get there, you can pedal out the feet, come up and down on the toes. Do make sure you take a quick look at the hands. They should be jetting straight out from your shoulders. It's the index and middle finger that ideally point straight forward, but if you're sensitive and the wrists are super tight in your shoulders, you can turn your hands a little further out. But relaxing the head and neck, eventually just reminding yourself that stillness is your goal. You'll let those feet rest hips distance apart. Make your heels spin back and just slightly out so they disappear behind your toes. And then even if you have to bend your knees a lot, I want you to imagine I had a rope pulling your hip creases straight up to the ceiling, releasing the lower back. Knit the front ribs and sternum bone in so you don't just dump into the upper back. Your goal is to accentuate the natural curves and convexes of your spine. Now just begin to push the tops of your thighs straight back to help anchor the heels down. Now keep your head and neck relaxed, but we'll consciously think about the hands. Can you lift just your fingertips up off the mat, grounding down to the whole circumference of your palm? Spread your fingers wide and then fan them into the mat. Root each knuckle, ending with your fingertips. Now can you keep your hands as they are, but hug your shoulder blades to the outer rib cage? That's called protraction. It's going to also help wrap the triceps back. And then think of lifting your forearms forward. And then with an inhale, we will come forward, high plank or top of a push-up. Slowing the hips in line with the shoulders, drive your heels back. Firm your thigh bones up to the ceiling. Unless you need to drop to the knees for modification, use them. Keep the hips level with the shoulder blades and add the slightest tuck to the tailbone. Again, you don't want to flatten your lower back out. You're just trying to bring it to neutral. Pull your belly tight. Press down into your hands so much that the natural reaction is your chest and your head actually lift up. Close your eyes, soften the face, deepen your breath. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, downward dog, lift your hips up and back. Inhale, come forward, high plank. And exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. Inhale, roll forward like a wave. And exhale, pulling back. Now let's inhale to high plank. If you need to drop to the knees, use them. I want you to lean your shoulders forward, jet them out over the fingertips. And with an exhale, just bend your arms halfway. Hug your elbows back. We'll hold for 5. Tuck the tailbone 4. Pull the belly in 3. Last 2. And then just release to the mat on 1. Rest the center of your forehead down, flip the tops of your feet down. Make sure your wrists do slide back so they stack under your elbows. And then with an inhale, lengthen the crown of your head so far forward that the head, the chest begin to lift up for a very low cobra. Press heavy into all 10 toes. Draw the tailbone to the space between your heels. Hug your elbows back. Broaden through the collarbone. Lengthen through the back of your neck. So don't just crank your glance up. Rather look more straight down out in front of you. And then with an inhale, lift up a little more. Exhale, forehead to the mat. Tuck your toes or just push into your knees. Inhale, push up, high plank. And then exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. Inhale, come forward, high plank. As you lean forward, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, maybe up dog if you're feeling ready for that. And then exhale, roll over the toes, lift the hips, downward dog. Now from downward dog, we're going to inhale the right leg to the sky, flex to the heel, leading with the inner thigh so your hips stay neutral. They're square to the ground. Now keep your hips as they are, but flex your right foot and turn your toes out to the right, like a ballerina. Stop before that right hip lifts up to the ceiling. You just want to turn the toes out. Now remember how this feels. With an exhale, you're going to pull your right knee, hide the outer right arm, and then inhale, the hips lift square, but the foot flexes out as it kicks back. Exhale, pull the knee to the right arm. Inhale, kick it back, toes turn out. And exhale to the right. Inhale, stretch it back, and just do this on your own. Breath per movement, every inhale initiating that lift up, every exhale pulling the leg towards your right arm. So try to keep those toes turning out the whole time. Your inner thigh, you're trying to get it to face the mat pretty much the entire time. Follow your breath. And then we'll all meet with that right knee at your right arm. Now pull the knee into your chest and look forward and step next to your right thumb. Drop the back knee and untuck your toes. Slide that leg back just an inch, maybe 2. Now cup the earth with the fingertips of your hands. Think cobra, up dog in the shoulders. Push your right knee into your bicep and your bicep into your knee. Now keep that connection. Reach your left arm to the ceiling for a modified extended side angle. So opening the chest to the side of the room. Push into the left shin, the top of the foot, and notice how that helps anchor the left hip forward. That's what I want. So you can now really focus on engaging that outer right glute. So push your right knee into the arm and your arm into the leg. Feel the right glutamus maximus turn on. Try to lengthen your right ribs away from the hip, creating more space. And with that, you might be able to lean back a little bit more. Take an inhale. Exhale, left hand to the mat. Tuck your back toes. Drive your left heel back. Lift your left thigh bone up. Now turn your back heel down. Line your front heel up with the back heel. It's going to give you a little extra space. Turn your back toes forward at about 10 degrees to the front of the mat. Now bring your right hand inside your right foot. Cup the earth with the fingertips of your hands. Think cobra, up dog in the shoulders. Now push your right arm into the knee to hug the right hip back, and then reach your left arm up to the sky. So taking that a little bit further, so with those back toes turning forward, you're wrapping the inner left thigh back to help hug the top hip forward, right? And then pushing your right knee out with that right arm to hug your right hip back. Again, those right glute muscles should be taut. Pull the belly in, knit those front ribs in. Lengthen your right side ribs away from your waist and then lean them out and maybe up towards the ceiling to lean back a bit more. Taking the top arm up and overhead, the palm will face the mat. Tricep hugs down towards your face. Breathe. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, left hand to the mat. Turn to your back toes. Pause. Now push into your palms. I want you to think a cobra, up dog in your shoulders. That's going to help sink your hips down, but lift your left thigh up against that. Now you could stay here. You might bend your elbows, maybe dropping to your forearms. You might take your right hand and grab onto the outer edge of your right ankle. So snuggling your right arm underneath your thigh. And if you can get that, pull the belly tight. You might take your left hand and grab onto the inner edge of your right ankle. Just holding onto that front ankle, relaxing the head and neck, driving into the left heel. Thinking cobra, up dog in the shoulders, wherever you're at, to lengthen through the spine. Breathe. And then however you're taking this, let's go ahead and meet with the hands planting under the shoulders. Inhale your right leg up and back, 3-legged dog. Bend the knee and open your hip. Find a little release. Right heel pulls towards the bottom. Now keep that right hip opening. Begin to drift forward, plank, but you're going to let your right toes touch down behind you. Wild thing. Right arm will reach up and overhead. Other way. Right toes touch down behind you like a high heel. Right arm reaches over your head, palm facing the mat. Left leg is like it would be inside plank. Press into your left palm. Take a nice deep inhale. Ever so gracefully exhale, high plank. Continue through chaturanga. Inhale, take the back bend of your choice. And exhale, downward dog. So from downward dog, for now, lead with your inner left thigh. We'll lift the left leg to the sky, flexing through the heel. So remember, your goal is to keep the hips square or neutral. Keep that as you flex your left foot and turn the toes out to the left. Stop before your left hip lifts up. Now take an inhale, stretch a little more. Exhale, left knee towards the outer left arm, so keep that external rotation. Inhale, lift the hips, toes turn out. Exhale, left knee to the outer left arm. Inhale, stretch it up and back, hips are square, and exhale, coming forward. On your own, breath per movement. Remember, you're trying to keep the external rotation of your leg the whole time, so the inner thigh should almost face the mat the whole time. Should begin to feel it in those outer left glute muscles. The hip may even cramp. Just means those muscles are doing a job they're not used to. But if you do yoga often, they really shouldn't be cramping. And then with your next inhale, we'll lift the leg up, meeting with the knee at the elbow on your exhale. And then pull the knee into your chest. Look forward so you can step forward next to your left thumb. Drop the back knee, top of the foot. You might slide that leg back a little bit to give yourself space. Cup the earth with the fingertips. Cobra up dog through the shoulders. Push your left knee into your arm into the leg, and then just reach your right arm up, opening your chest to the side of the room. But pushing into the left knee to the tips of your toes, down and straight back. As that right hip wraps forward, now the left leg can actually open safely. Inner left thigh draws the knee forward. Push the knee out to the left by hugging and turning on that left glute. And at the same time, you're trying to lengthen your left ribs away from the hip crease. You're not crowding or creating congestion. If you can lean back far enough that you can look up towards the ceiling, great. If not, don't worry about it. Just breathe. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, right hand down. Tuck your back toes, driving the heel back to lift the thigh, only to turn your back foot down. Heel to heel alignment. Remember, back toes, they turn forward at least 10 degrees. It could be a little bit more. The left hand will come inside the left foot. Cup the earth with the fingertips. Think cobra up dog in the shoulders. This time your left arm pushes the knee out to hug your left hip back. And then we'll reach the right arm up. Opening the chest again, taking the same pose a little further. Ground down to the whole knife edge of your back foot. You want to feel the arch of your right foot lift. Push that inner right thigh back and up. Push your left arm into the knee. Don't let that left glute soften. Allow it to be active. So ideally, rather than just using the left arm to push the knee out, you're actually using the left hip, the glutes, to hug that leg as it is. Taking the top arm up and overhead. The palm should face the mat. Tricep hugs down towards your face, finding a nice long stretch from the knife edge of your back foot towards the fingertips. You look up, sideways, or down. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, right hand to the mat. Turn to your back toes and pause. Now just push into your palms to think cobra up dog in the shoulders. Notice how that lets the hips get heavy. But now resist your right thigh bone up against that towards the ceiling, and you'll find a nice stretch in the front of your right hip. And then if you want to bend your elbows, maybe drop to the forearms. Maybe you snuggle your left shoulder underneath your left arm and grab the outer left ankle with your left hand. And then maybe you lift that right thigh enough that you can take your right hand and grab the inner edge of your ankle and kind of just hang out. But think a big cobra up dog in the shoulders. Lift the right thigh against gravity, pulling your hips down. This is a very active variation rather than letting anything go passive. Breathe. Close the eyes, last few breaths. And then wherever or however you're taking it, plant the hands under your shoulders. Inhale the left leg up and back, bend the knee and open the hip. Heel pulls towards the bottom. Relax the head and neck. So remember, you're going to keep that leg rolling open. Begin to drift forward. Allow your left toes to touch down behind you as you reach that left arm up and overhead. Wild thing. Right leg is inside plank. Lift through the heart rather than the hips so you're not compressing the lower back. That left palm should face the mat. Look back at your fingertips. Take an inhale into that space. And then exhale, slowly flip it back over chaturanga as you're ready. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. Now from downward dog, we will inhale, bend your knees, draw your hips way back and look beyond your fingertips. Exhale, take a giant step, walk or maybe jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Now the same flat back, inhale, Tadasana. Circle your arms to the sky. Maybe watch your palms kiss. Exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthiti. Inhale, arms fall before they rise, mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold, lead with the heart, hinge at the hips. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, plant the hands, step, maybe jump back if you're feeling ready for that. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. We'll keep it moving. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or spring to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, reverse swan dive your arms to the sky. Exhale, Samasthiti, prayer in front of your heart. Inhale, circle the arms for the sun. Exhale, bow forward towards the earth. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, lift and lengthen the spine. And exhale, lift the hips, relax the head and neck. We have one more. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or float to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, fold in. Inhale, Tadasana. Find the peak of the mountain. Exhale, pull the hands through heart center. Inhale, Tadasana. Reach up, maybe look up. Exhale, forward fold, looking down and back. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, Chaturanga. You'll finish this one off on your own, and then we will meet you in downward facing dog. Once you get to downward dog, you're just breathing in and out your nose. Remember, the breath is the one thing you can always come back to. It's your anchor, the one constant. And then if you're still with me, let's go ahead and inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or float to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. So just for transitional purposes, big toes touch, heels separate just a little bit. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Bend your knees, drop your hips, reach up. So the toes can lift. Just feel the weight push down into the middle of your feet. Draw the knees back so you can at least see your toes. And then even though your knees are coming together, I want you to resist them apart so they don't actually touch. Get your knees to stack at the center of your ankles. Make your thighs heavy like somebody just sat in your lap. And then tuck your tailbone down, pull the lower belly in. Lift from the pelvic floor to lift your spine. That will help lift your arms, wrap your triceps forward, energize the fingertips. And then with an inhale, press up, grow as tall as you can. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, straight back into chair. Hips go low, arms reach up. Now I'm going to pull your hands to heart center. Shift the weight over into your right foot. You're going to bring your left ankle to the top of your right knee, crossing like a gentleman does at the dining table. Flex the foot. Push your knee down towards the mat, but more important than how low your knee goes is check in with your right hip. You don't want it to pop out. You want to hug it straight back behind you so it still lines up with your ankle. Try to sink your hips down and back a little lower. That'll get a little bit more into that left hip opener. Pull the belly in. Now listen carefully. You're going to slowly just kick your left leg straight forward. Flex the foot towards your face. Press the heel forward. Keep the bend in the right knee as long as you can. And then you are going to circle your left leg out to the left like you're trying to roundhouse kick out. And then straight back, warrior three, squaring that left hip off to the mat. Flex to the back heel, pull the belly tight. Outer left hip wraps down as you hug that outer right hip back. Push your right thigh back, lengthen the spine forward. Now you're going to roundhouse kick that left leg out to the left again. Circle it forward, cross your ankle to the top of your knee, and then sit low. We'll do one more. Kick the leg forward. Circle the leg out as far as you can, and then back, warrior three. Stabilize, find a focal point, something to help you stay balanced. Bend your standing leg as deep as you can, and then very gently step your left foot way back, land on the toes, reach up to the sky. Crescent pose. Bend into the back knee, enough that you can tuck your tailbone down, pull the belly tight, knit the front ribs in. Extend the arms up out of your waistline. Take an inhale. Exhale, left hand to the mat. Circle your right arm up towards the sky. Left thigh lifts. Outer right hip hugs back. Right sitting bone. Think of sinking it forward towards your right heel. Roll the left shoulder blade away from the ears. Breathe in and out your nose. Take an inhale, maybe open up a bit more. Listen carefully as you exhale, right hand inside of your right foot. Inhale, think flat back, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bend your elbows, try to drop to your forearms. If your forearms don't get there, they can always go on blocks. General rules, if the right elbow doesn't touch the mat, don't let your left. Lift the left thigh. Breathe. Now with that left forearm in the mat or on a block, you're going to push into the forearm and the palm of your hand. Left forearm stays down, reach your right arm up. We'll take that twist a little further, getting into those hips a bit more. Hug the right knee towards the chest. Press into the left forearm to lean your chest away from the right knee. Lift into the left thigh. Breathe. Take an inhale. Exhale, right forearm to the mat. Pull the belly tight, and you're going to just step the right foot back next to left forearm plank. Feet hips distance apart, heels press back. Thighs firm up, tailbone draws in, belly pulls to the spine, elbows press down as you imagine dragging them back to pull the heart through the gateway of your arms. Last few breaths. And then with an inhale, one hand at a time, high plank. Exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. From downward dog, let's take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Hold this breath at the very top. Open up the mouth. Inhale the left leg to the sky. Bend the knee, open the hip. As you exhale, pull the knee to the chest, step next to your left thumb. Turn the back heel down, heel to heel. Back toes turn forward. Now keep the left hand on the outer edge of your left hand. Cup the earth with the fingertips. Lengthen your spine forward. Reach your right arm up and then overhead. Extended side angle in its fullest expression. Push your left knee now into your bicep and your bicep into the knee. Hug the left hip back. Try to get that bicep about an inch or two away from your ear. Knit the front ribs together. Breathe in and out your nose. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, right hand to the mat. Step your right foot to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Open the feet up about hips distance apart. Bend the knees, grab your elbows. Ragdoll. Relax the head and neck. Let your head hang heavy. Go ahead and switch the cross in your arms, even it out. You can gently sway side to side or bob your torso up and down. And then go ahead and gently release your hands down to the mat. Heel toe your feet back together. Big toes touch, but your heels always separate just a little bit. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, Utkatasana, drop it low, reach up. And then press up, come to standing, pull the hands to heart center. Inhale, straight back into chair. Hips go down, arms reach up. Now shifting the weight into your left foot, we'll bring the right ankle to the top of your left knee, flex the heel, push the knee down, but anchor your left hip back. Try to sink your hip creases back and down. Pull the belly in away from the thigh. You can pull the hands to heart center. Find something, a focal point to help you stay balanced. You're gonna keep the left knee as bent as you can. Slowly just kick your right leg straight out in front of you as if you're trying to do a pistol squat. And then roundhouse kick that leg out to the right and then straight back, leaning the torso out, warrior three. The heel lifts to level out with the glutes. Outer left hip pulls back, lower belly pulls in. Shoulders draw away from the ears. Now you're going to take that right leg out to the right, swing it forward, cross it at the left knee, sit down, lifting the chest, flexing the right foot. Breathe. Inhale, kick that right leg forward. Roundhouse, kick it out and around, straight back, warrior three. Flex the heels, stabilize, pull the lower belly in. Try not to anticipate it, but you're going to bend your standing leg deeply. And then very gently step the right foot way back. Reach your arms up. Crescent pose. Situate yourself. Bend the back knee. Tuck your tailbone down. You can shorten or widen your stance if you need that. But knit the front ribs together. And remember, the tops of your shoulders, the trapezius, they soften, and it's your arms lifting from your waist, the sides of your body, that grow them longer. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, right hand to the mat, we'll circle the left arm up to the sky. So right heel pushes straight back behind your big toe, right thigh bone lifts up to the ceiling. Pushing into the right palm, roll your right shoulder blade down the back. Hug the front ribs in. Breathe in and out your nose. Expand the arms apart, not only by broadening your collarbones, but you want to also try to broaden your shoulder blades away from each other, so even protraction here. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, left hand inside the left foot. Push into the palms, lift the chest, then cobra up dog in the shoulders. And then exhale, bend at the elbows. You might end up on blocks. They may end up on the ground. Drive the right heel back. Keep lifting the right thigh away from the mat. Keep thinking cobra up dog in the shoulders, so you're having a nice long line from the back heel to the crown of your head. And then that right forearm and palm are going to push into the mat. Slowly reach your left arm up towards the sky, taking that twist a bit deeper. This is just living proof that when we think something can't get any worse, it can always get worse. Breathe. Lift that right thigh up. Press into the right forearm to extend the left arm higher. Where do you look? I don't care. Up, sideways, or down. Just take a deep inhale. Exhale, left forearm to the mat. Press into the forearms, pull into the lower belly, and just see if you can float your left foot back, forearm plank. So just like high plank, work from the heels to the crown of your head. Make sure your elbows are stacked under the shoulders. Your shoulders protract. You push down so much your chest lifts, and then you drag the elbows back to guide the heart through the gateway of the arms. Close your eyes, last few breaths, let your body shake. And then try to do it the opposite that you did last time, one hand at a time. Press up, high plank. Exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. From downward dog, we'll inhale the right leg to the sky, bend the knee and open the hip. With an exhale, you'll pull the knee to your chest, look forward and step next to the right thumb. When you turn your back heel down, you should automatically have heel to heel alignment, but just check with that. Make sure your back toes do turn slightly forward. Cup the earth with the fingertips of your hands. Think cobra up dog in the shoulders. Press your right knee into the arm as you reach your left arm up to the sky. So very few people can actually do this with the right hand flat on the floor. So if it has to go on a block, do so. If you need to bring your forearm to your thigh, remember, take whatever variation you can. But push that right knee into your bicep. Hug the right hip back, lift through the inner left thigh, top arm extending over your head by grounding down to the knife edge of your back foot. Front ribs hug in as your right side ribs lengthen away from your hip. You're trying to get those right side ribs just as long as your top side ribs. Breathe, take a nice deep inhale, maybe open up a bit more. Exhale, left hand down, step your left foot up to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Open the feet about hip distance apart. Bend the knees. Take your hands behind your tailbone. Interlace the fingers. Press the palms. I like to push my thumbs into the sacrum and hug the elbows up to the ceiling. That begins the opening in the front of the chest. If that's enough, stay. If you want more, keep the elbows as they are, but try and karate chop your wrists straight up. So that'll help it so you don't hyperextend your elbows. And then keeping your chest on your thighs, begin to lift the backs of your legs up. Maybe the arms begin to fall up and overhead. Bringing the hands back to the tailbone so you can switch the interlace of your hands. You might just push the thumb into the sacrum, hug the elbows up and stay there. You might try karating, chopping those wrists up and overhead. Breathe. And then go ahead and gently release your hands down. Inhale, think flat back. As you exhale, step or jump back. Our last vinyasa of the class, if you'd like it. If not, don't take it. And technically, it's the only one you really took, so, you know. Maybe take it. And then as you feel ready, go to drop to your knees, come to all fours. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. So you're gonna stay in this position, but turn to your right or your left, but I want you to turn to the right. So as if you're gonna crawl to the right side, make sure you crawl forward, especially if you're on hardwood surfaces, so your knees and your feet are on the mat. So crawl forward a little, there you go. Now you're gonna bring your big toes to touch. Open your knees up as far apart as they'll go. So this is called half frog. You could stay here and just drop to your elbows. For less, you might sit your hips to your heels as in a very exaggerated child's pose. If you want to go further, those hips will stay in line with the knees, but you'll open your feet up, flex the feet so you rest on the inner arch of your foot. Ankles and knees stack as always. Your torso should always remain parallel to the mat. Unless you want to add puppy variation to get into the shoulders, you can crawl your hands forward and allow your chest to fall to the mat. If you want to rest your forehead on a block, do so. But a very common thing here is we let the belly soften, and as a result, our lower back collapses. Or in other words, your butt pooches out like it's Saturday night. It might be Saturday night, it might be not. I don't know what day it is, so you know. So tuck your tailbone slightly down, pull the lower belly in. Keep the lower back supported. Breathe, frog pose, half frog or tadpole, wherever you're at. And we'll just sit with our breath, closing the eyes. You should really feel this within the inner groin. Right? The connective tissues where the adductors connect into the pelvis. You might feel some pressure in the outer hips. Pressure points within the inner knees and ankles are also being triggered. And this tends to be a big one. So breathe a little deeper than you think you might need to. There's no such thing as breathing too deep. As we get further along into the pose, just begin to notice any resistance that may show up. If your hands started making fists, if you're clenching your jaw or furrowing your eyebrows, or maybe the shoulders are tensing up to the ears. Notice if the mind is trying to talk you to come out of the pose. Can you sit through that? Take 3 more deep breaths. Try and count out every inhale to be anywhere between 7 to 15 seconds long. And every exhale, just be sure it's the same amount of time. If not, maybe even a little bit longer. So this is a very important pose where you don't just rush out of it. It tends to be one of those poses where we wish we had an emergency exit, eject button to get out of. So it's like reverse evolution. First, step up onto your hands. Bring your big toes to touch, so you're in half frog. Sit your hips back to your heels into tadpole, and then walk your hands back. And then use your hands to close your legs together. So you're not using the adductors after they just got expanded and stretched. Oh, sit your hips to the back of your mat. Bring your legs to the front of the mat. Find your sit bones with the legs straight out in front of you. So grab the cushion, aka butt cheek, pull it back, do the same thing to both sides. And then just listen carefully because there's lots of rights and lefts involved. So if you're dyslexic like I am, it can be a little tricky listening your way into it. You're gonna bend your right knee and plant that foot on the outer edge of your left thigh. And then just sit up tall and hug your knee into the chest. You might feel enough within that outer right hip here and just stay here, close your eyes. If you want to go a little further, you'll take your left hand, grab onto your right foot, and pull it back towards the outer edge of your hip. Right knee should fall open on top of the left knee. That left leg might cross over the midline a little bit. You could stay here and just fold over the legs, getting a stretch through the back of your left leg, getting into that right hip. If you want to go further, you'll lean into your left hip, bend the left knee and bring it to the outer edge of your right hip. Go Mukhasana with a smiling cow face pose. You want to try and get both sit bones down and your knees to stack, lining up with your belly button. Eventually the feet will come forward, but don't force that. It'll happen with time. And then you can stay sitting upright. You might fold your body forward. I like to put a block between the top of my thigh and my chest. Just rounding over your legs, letting the head, the neck hang. So this tends to be one of those poses that for me in my body is worse than Chinese waterboard torture. Doesn't go well in my body. So I have to make very conscious efforts to soften, to breathe, to surrender, and just to give in to whatever comes up. If this is a pose that comes easily, you love this pose, then your job is to not fall asleep. Don't get so comfortable that you just find a sleepless or sleepy state. If you're comfortable, watch the mind. Where does it wander? What is its patterns and its habits? You can begin to feel out the energetic body, trying to find movement or stimulation. And that feels different in everybody. Sometimes it almost feels like warm or cool kind of breezes going through one part of your body. Other times it might feel almost like bubbles or circular swirls. We're just tuning into that if you can. And if not, remember, you can always just focus on your breath. So just pressing into the palms, pull your belly and keep your head and neck heavy. Just begin to roll your spine up vertebrae by vertebrae. Plant your hands behind you so you can lean back into the hips and untangle your legs. Plant your feet wide to the very outer edges of your mat. You can just let your knees fall side to side, windshield washing the knees. And then as you're ready, the legs will straighten out in front of you. You do have to find your sit bones again just because we rolled onto the tailbone. Then as you're ready, left knee will bend, the foot plants to the outer edge of your right thigh, and you just sit up tall, hugging the knee into the chest. Remember, you can stay here if you want to go further. Right hand will grab your left foot and pull it back. Allow your right knee to fall open on top of the left, or left knee to fall open on top of the right. Maybe you lean into your right hip, bend that right leg, and swing the foot to the outer edge of your left hip. But remember, you don't want to sit on your right foot, that left sit bone should be grounded. So maybe you're different on both sides, right? You might do both legs on one and not be able to do it on the other. The knees stack nicely, the sit bones ground down, and then you make the decision to either stay upright or round your torso over the thighs. Maybe using a block, maybe not. I find the block helps take some of the pressure out of the hips if I fold forward. Letting the head and neck just hang heavy. The arms do the same. Settling into the pose. At whatever level you entered it at, be okay with where you're at. In my yin practice, it's very few and far between that both legs actually bend. More commonly, I'm just taking half of the pose with one leg out in front of me, folding there. We just have to remind ourselves that just because our mind tries to convince us, or the false ego, taking the fullest expression or the deeper versions of poses, it doesn't make us any better of a person. There's no scientific evidence that people who can do the fancier poses are any kinder, happier, patient, right? You have to begin to cultivate those things right here, right now, in your own body. Learning to be patient with yourself if your body's not at the place that maybe you would like it to be at. Being kind on the body, not forcing it to do anything it's not ready to do, because if you do, generally that causes injury. And being happy with your body exactly as it is, as you find gratitude in the simple fact that you have a body that is healthy enough to flow through a practice like you just did. So just trying to step away from the critic. They say we are always our worst critics. So just trying to step away from that viewpoint. Make a shift. Last few breaths. And then if you're ready, you'll press the palms into the mat. Give a little pressure as you just begin to roll your spine up. Remember, the head and neck should be very last to come. As you feel ready, you'll take your hands behind you, lean back into the hips, unwrap the legs, plant your feet nice and wide. Windshield wash your knees side to side. And then as you're ready, go ahead and scoot your body forward. Let's work our way back into the same shape we started off with. If you have a bolster or a pillow, this time I do want you to run it the length of your spine. The hips should fall off, so the lower back gets a little release. You'll slide the soles of your feet together and let your knees this time prop up onto some blocks. Arms can fall out and away from the sides of your body. rest on the torso in a comfortable means. But now just allowing yourself to fully release. Let go. Allow every bone, muscle, ligament, and tendon to soften. Finding a place where the mind doesn't have to think about how the body is feeling because of what it's doing. You can even let go of your breath, which you've worked so hard to maintain throughout the rest of class. And then when the mind finds this place of peace and quiet, you, the soul, can step aside. Even if it's just for a few milliseconds, try to let go of the body and the mind. Find your fullest sense of release. This is it. Let yourself rest. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Govinda. And to subdue it, I think, would be more difficult than controlling the wind. And quote from the Bhagavad Gita, some Vedic or yogic scriptures. But we can all agree that gaining control of the wind is an impossibility. Its power, its strength, its unpredictability, right? But we have learned how to harness its power and use it. Whether that's with trying to decode weather patterns, wind fans that help produce energy. And so we have to understand that gaining complete control of the mind, especially in today's day and age, is even more of an impossibility. But that doesn't mean that we're not meant to try when we can and where we can. And the practice of asana is an example of just that. Because the mind, even though we're on our mat, we're going through the movements, it can still jump off topic and go think about a box of Reese's Pieces, a nice pizza, right? Dinner, whatever the mind goes to. But we don't just walk off the mat to fulfill it. Maybe you did today, I don't know. But the more we can use the mind and harness it, directing the mind, telling it where to go and what to think, the more control we gain. So just remembering a very simple reminder that there is a reason it is called your mind. It's yours to control, not the other way around. So this is just something to think about. Whether you choose to lie here in Savasana for a bit longer, but ideally even something you take with you off the mat. But on that note, namaste.